YouTube, what's going on? I'm back. It's APFC for all things Arsenal, but not exclusively so. I'm going to discuss today Matteo Guendouzi. And the reason I made this video is because I've been reading comments on Arsenal YouTubers, Instagram, Facebook, and interestingly with Guendouzi, he's a player that divides opinion amongst Arsenal fans. With the position that we're in now, there's a lot of Arsenal players, that divide opinion. For me, I'm surprised that Guendouzi does divide opinion. A lot of Arsenal fans don't rate him. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on, where does Guendouzi fit in at Arsenal? And another reason why I've made this video is because Guendouzi's been was a regular starter under the Emery era. And since Arteta has come in, he seems to no longer be a part of his starting 11 plans. He did start against Leeds, but it seems to be Torreira and Xhaka that are the midfield two. And that's why I made the video today. So I wanted to start off by talking about some of Guendouzi's strengths before going on to some of his weaknesses. What really impressed me with Guendouzi when he signed for Arsenal is his mentality. He came from the second division in France. When we signed him, I thought, okay, one for the future, probably won't get any game time or only Europa League games, League Cup, maybe a bit of FA Cup games. But he became a mainstay in the Arsenal midfield, and not just a mainstay, a key performer and a key player in the midfield. Now, it's difficult. You've seen with Nicolas Pepe how difficult it is to come to a new league and adapt, but the way that Guendouzi could do it back then I think he was 19 to 20 years old was incredibly impressive. He displays quite a lot of hunger when playing games. When things aren't going right, Guendouzi tries to take the game by the scruff of the neck. This is a criticism that a lot of Arsenal players, including some of our highest paid players, our most high profile players, they've not been able to do. Guendouzi at least has tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck. There's not many players in world football at that age that I think can come to the Premier League and have no fear like Guendouzi has. And that really impressed me about him. He was probably one of our players of the season last year. Him, maybe Aubameyang, in a season that was pretty average if you ask me. But how comfortable he looked when coming in and how quickly he was able to adapt was very impressive to me. Another strength of Guendouzi is he's a bit of an asshole. He's a bit of a dickhead. And I think that's something we need at the club. I'm all for playing the game in the spirit of the game. But at the end of the day, if you're playing teams that are, pushing your buttons, are not necessarily playing in the fair spirit of the game, they may be diving, they may be back chatting. You got to be in it to win it. And if it comes down to it, and we need to fight fire with fire, Matteo Guendouzi is always one of those players that will do so. I don't think players like him, the players that play against him. I see him make a few snarky comments. I see him make a few interesting tackles. I think we need a bit of that. We had a lot of that under the Invincibles. As far as I remember, I was quite young when the Invincibles, were playing football. But as far as I remember, Arsenal were not very liked at all. We have this notion of being a classy club. I think that's a little bit far from the truth. I think we have not always been classy, but at the end of the day, if it means we're going to win things, I don't mind. And I don't think Arsenal fans should mind either, because at the end of the day, everyone's doing it. Every single team has players and tactics that go against the spirit of the game. Matteo Guendouzi is one of those players. He deeply cares for the club. He may have been an Arsenal fan as a boy. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like he truly understands the value of playing for Arsenal Football Club. And I can't knock him for that. With Guendouzi as well, he likes to drive forward. He's always looking for the forward pass. And these are some of the things that I really like about him. But on the other side of the coin, initially when I saw Guendouzi play, I thought he could do no wrong. However, I've been watching him over the last, probably this season, maybe the last 2 to 3 months, where he has perhaps stagnated a little bit. I've seen a lot more fragilities in his game. His positional awareness sometimes is virtually non-existent. And I'm not sure if it's because he lacks experience, he lacks the knowledge. It's not easy to be a very young player with little experience and expect him to step up and be our main midfielder, which at times this year and last season he's had to do with all the poor performances around him. But his positional sense is not great. The first half against Leeds, sometimes he was walking, sometimes he was nowhere near in the right position. I can think of, I think it was the Palace game this season at home. There was times where they would be breaking through the midfield. Guendouzi's standing on the left. And he's just standing, he's not trying to track back. There's no communication. He's not telling other players to, cover for him. I don't know if it's because he switches off or he's just inexperienced, but I have noticed that come into his game. But at the end of the day, we can't expect too much from him. He's young. He's come from Lorient, second division in France. Remember, it's his second season. And I do think that the criticism on Matteo Guendouzi by some of our fans is incredibly unjustified. These are the same fans that are happy to give Xhaka 4 years of playing bang averagely, but will not give Guendouzi a chance. These are the same fans that will turn a blind eye to the way Aubameyang has performed, particularly off the ball, but towards the end of the Emery era. These are the same fans that support the players that clearly down tools with under Freddie and under Emery, and even in some respects under Wenger. So it does baffle me that he gets the criticism that he gets. We do need to remember how young he is and how inexperienced it is in the scheme of things. But his positional awareness is not great. I have noticed that. I think, going back to my point about being that sort of arsehole mentality that he is, he sometimes can go a little bit too far with that as well. I think it takes away from his concentration in games sometimes. And, you can rile up the opposition. You can do these things. It's part of the game. I have no issue with that. However, if it distracts you from playing your natural game, that's when it becomes a problem. And I think with Matteo Guendouzi, it's become a bit of an issue. With himself, he has stagnated a little bit, as I said before. I think a lot of that is down to the confidence of the team generally. As I said, he's not an experienced player. He's 20 years old. You can't expect him to rise above that. We should be expecting that from the Aubameyangs, the Lacazettes, maybe the Xhakas, the more experienced sort of players in our team. David Luiz comes to mind as well. You can't expect that from Matteo Guendouzi. And I think fans need to remember that, when critically analysing his performances and how he's been this season. It is interesting, though, because he's been dropped under Arteta. He doesn't seem to be a first-choice starter, as he was under Emery. Emery preferred Guendouzi over Torreira, it seemed. Not so much anymore under Arteta. So this is why I made this video. I just wanted to see what you guys thought. Simply because he was a starter. He's a young player. He possesses a lot of different strengths. Positionally, he's not great. Sometimes he's what's the word? Not mentality. I'm just going to go with mentality for what now. I had another word in mind. But his mentality, sometimes he gets a little bit distracted during games with all the sort of nasty parts of the game. He just needs to find that balance. And it's a real crucial time for Guendouzi. Look, if he doesn't play a lot over the next 6 months under Arteta, again, it's not the end of the world, because when we initially signed him, he, for me, was one for the future anyway. So he's already by far exceeded expectations at Arsenal for me. Like, by far. I think he was one of our top 3 players last year, and that is a massive credit for someone that had no experience, was playing in the second league in the Farmers League, the French league. So we do need to remember that. We do need to give Guendouzi a little bit more time. I'm just interested to see where does he fit in under Arteta, because he seems to want to play Xhaka as the ball player. He wants to play Torreira as the screener of the defence. And to be honest, if you're comparing Guendouzi with Xhaka in that role, Xhaka's probably a little bit better with spraying the passes, probably a bit more consistent. If you're comparing him to Torreira, because Torreira is positionally more aware, probably his timing of tackles is a lot better than Matteo Guendouzi. I wouldn't start Guendouzi over Xhaka in that role. I wouldn't start Guendouzi over Torreira in that role. So it will be very interesting to see, what happens with him. So Just wanted to do a quick video about Guendouzi, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Please subscribe if you're new. This is APFC, all Arsenal content, but not exclusively so. For now, I am doing a lot more Arsenal content. Next week, I will put out one video that is related to something a little bit different in football. I'll keep you guys posted on that. My preview will be out the same time as this video, so please keep your eyes peeled. And I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day.